This is it, moment of truth. Let's have a look. Hey guys and gals, welcome to Garage Gear. I'm JB. Will using fluid film help prevent grass from sticking to your mower deck? Let's find out. First, we're gonna need to do a baseline test. We're gonna be using my 5-year-old Honda lawnmower, and I'm gonna begin this test by thoroughly cleaning the mower deck out with my pressure washer. For all intents and purposes, this usually gets the deck about 97% clean, which will be good enough for this test. And you can see up underneath the deck that there's places where the paint no longer exists and corrosion is already in its early stages. I'm gonna let this dry out in the driveway for 1 hour. And from there, I went ahead and mowed this 1,000 square foot section of my lawn. All things considered, this was an average mow and the lawn hadn't been cut in about 5 days. Once I was done mowing that 1,000 square foot section of my lawn, I pulled the mower back into the garage and here are the results. All right, taking a look at the deck, here's what we have. So as we zoom in here, we take a look, we have this dried on, I call this like magnet grass because it's always just stuck around the outside, around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. So we got this going all the way around, even up on the top side. This right here is always a notorious pocket where grass kind of gets hung up. You can see I'm kind of brushing it off as we speak. Got a little bit along this edge and a little bit trapped right here, even some bigger clippings. And this is usually a common spot too. A lot of grass just kind of seems to be prone to sticking in this spot here. And a little bit stuck up onto the top surface of the deck here. We also have a little bit here on the contours of the blade. So now that we have this documented, let's repeat the test with the fluid film applied. But first, we gotta pressure wash this again. Okay, round number 2 with the pressure washer. Now this is the same procedure as last time, and I made sure to get any grass in sight off. After that, I hit it with the leaf blower and let it dry out in the sun for 1 hour. Once it was dry, I brought it back into the garage to prep it for fluid film. And help prep this video with the YouTube algorithm, would you mind hitting that like button? Thank you. For added safety, we're gonna pull the spark plug. Now you can see that we're all clean and ready to rip, and I even put some cardboard down because with fluid film, there's almost always some overspray. Now let's take a closer look at the can. Now here's a couple of quick bullets of information on the back label. Right off the bat, it's lanolin based and provides protection for all metals. That's cool, because we have a little rust forming. It does not dry out, hence the fluid in fluid film, but this is where I get a little skeptical. The deck was clean and dry on the first step, and we had that grass glue around the deck. And now we're gonna have this wet film across the entire deck. I guess we'll just have to see what happens. It also says it won't readily wash off, and it will not harm most paint, plastic, or oil-resistant rubbers. And as we get to the bottom of our long list of applications, what do we see? Under mower decks. That's awesome, and I'll have this linked down below in the description. Now, the only prep step I'm gonna take here is covering the drive belt. On some mowers, the belt is partially exposed like on this one. Your mower may vary, so make sure you cover it up if it's visible. If that belt were to be left exposed, any fluid film could cause some slippage of that belt. We got our fluid film, we're gonna shake her up. From here, I'm just gonna start applying. No exact science here. I'm a big fan of the old adage, thin wins, thick sticks. So a nice thin coat is all you need. Cool. You basically want this to look like that thin layer of maple syrup at the bottom of your plate when you're done eating pancakes. That's it. You don't need gobs and gobs and gobs of this. Just enough to get everything coated. I'm gonna make sure that I hit around the entire ring of the deck. Any metal's now covered. I'm gonna spray the blades too. This whole application process took less than 3 minutes. You can see that we have a nice thin coat applied to every inch of this deck. I'm gonna remove the paper towel because we no longer need that. I'm gonna tip the mower back down. From here, I'm just gonna reinstall my spark plug. Done. And I only used maybe about 1/8 of this can. Not much. I got plenty of applications left if I want to continue doing this down the road. Now we need to keep in mind here that fluid film is fluid, and it creates a non-drying barrier of protection. So there's no drying time. At this point, we can just go and mow. Here I have another 1,000 square foot section of my lawn, and for good measure, this is a same-day cut as the previous test with all similar conditions. So if you're ready, I'm ready, let's go mow. That was that. Let's get a look at it. This is it, moment of truth. Let's have a look. All right, this is interesting. Let's analyze this. Now, after a close inspection here, it looks like, yes, we have less buildup around the outside rim, less of that grass glue clinging to the outside edge. That's a good thing. There's also a little less here on the blade. Now, what do we notice more of? Well, we see more grass around this plastic shroud that surrounds the blade. Definitely more than the base test. Definitely more here, without question. This area right here, which is a very common edge for catching grass, seems to have just a little less. It's still got some clumping up there though. Now, if we drop down to here, this has significantly more grass piled up. Look at that. And in terms of fluid film still standing on the mower deck just after 1,000 square feet, well, there's only a little bit in a few certain spots, mainly right here, seems to be some along this plastic edge here, on the center of the blade, and still around this shroud, and that probably explains why a lot of this grass is clumped up here in the center. Now, something important to note here, where do I not see any fluid film remaining, is around this rusted area. A pretty important spot if you ask me, because this is an area that's starting to corrode, and if I touch it, there's nothing coming off. I mean, maybe 1 or 2%. It's literally nothing. It seems like in areas that there was clumping before, mainly the grass glue here around the outside, there's less. And if we go to an area where there was less before, there's no more. So it's almost like it flipped. Very bizarre. Now let's break this down a little further. So looking here at the chart, what do we see? Grass glue around the deck. Yes, with no fluid film, and no with fluid film. Then looking here for the clumping in the center, no for no fluid film. With fluid film, yes. In fact, it seemed like we saw more. So does this prevent grass clumping underneath your mower deck? I say no, because it kind of just switched what we saw, still leaving grass up underneath the mower deck, but in a different way. Now, will we see long-term protection from this during the mowing season? Again, the results speak for themselves. No. From what we could see, hardly any remained on the exposed metal. Now, what we got to keep in mind here is there's a lot happening underneath that mower deck. With those blades spinning thousands of times per minute and grass constantly being sliced up, that's a ton of friction up underneath that deck. Also keep in mind that your conditions and mowing situations may vary and could be drastically different than mine. This can ultimately determine how long it lasts on your mower deck. Now let's also think about some of the other factors weighing in here. Is the grass wet? Which I don't recommend doing a wet mow. Well, don't mow your grass when it's wet. Hey, sometimes you can't avoid it. Maybe it's been raining all week, the grass may be really wet and overgrown, and you maybe have one day that week where it's nice out and you have to get out and get a mow in. Grass could be sticking to your deck like crazy, and there's not much you can do there. My lawn was bone dry for this test, and these are the results that we got. Grass types can also affect this, how tall the grass is, your mowing height, the type of mower that you have, mulching, bagging, side or rear discharging. These all come into play here. And also you gotta think about how often do you clean out your mower deck. All these factors have a say here. Now, how much longer do I think that this coat will last? Given my situation, I'm gonna say about one more mow and we're done. I think it's safe to say that we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no way that this could last an entire season. I would, however, recommend spraying this on your entire mower deck if you were to tuck the mower away for some kind of long-term storage. Perhaps during the winter months when the mower isn't in use. Rather than sitting there bone dry with nothing on it, this could help prevent corrosion while sitting there in the off season. What is also really nice though is fluid film is non-toxic and non-hazardous, so it won't harm your lawn. As long as you don't over-apply it to the point where it's literally just dripping off, it shouldn't hurt your lawn. For more cool garage gear content, click or tap the screen right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.